Okay, this is Piano 2 at William Paterson University. I'm Dr. Leshowitz. Some of you were with me last semester, so we have a whole new fresh semester now. You received all my information last night. I sent you a bunch of, too much information, but I figured let's get it all over with at once. You have a syllabus. Make sure you read the syllabus inside out, backwards and forwards, because we stick to it. You have to get those textbooks, the Harima book, some of you have from last semester, and there's another book called Essential Keyboard Repertoire. It's all on here. So I expect you to have that as soon as possible. Order it now. Do not wait till school starts because you're going to fall way behind. So, you also received this. This is the entire semester of lessons. And right now, I'm assuming we're going to be doing what we did last semester. It may change. I'll let you know how we're going to have our lessons. But right now, you have a video. This is your lesson. This lesson is the class lesson. And then when I meet with you, we'll be doing what's on the video. That's if it's remote. If not, you have the video anyway, use it, and then we have classes, and I'll be going over it just the same. But this should really help you if you use it correctly. So if you turn to the second page, it says January 21st, that's our first class. And the first thing we're going to be doing is the Etude in D major. It's Etude, and it's by Gurlitt. It says G-U-R-L, the I-T-T was cut off. It's in the key of D. Everybody at this point reads music, everybody knows chords. We did all the white key major scales, we did all the chords, major and minor, diminished, augmented. If you didn't have me and you had someone else, you'll see this will all come into play with no problem. But right now, let's look at the Etude. An Etude is a study. For those who are instrumentalists, you probably played an Etude. And this is all a chord, broken chords. So if you look at the entire first measure with both hands, you have a D, F sharp, A. The right hand, you have a D, F sharp, A. Together, of course, you have a chord. When you're fortunate enough to play a piece that's all chords, broken chords, practice them in chords. So the first measure is this. When you break it up, it's very simple. The second measure is D, F sharp, A sharp. For those who had me last semester, or someone else that did this, that's a D augmented chord. It's nice to know. It doesn't affect your playing, but if you know it's a D augmented chord, you'll hear D major, D augmented, and so on. So the first measure is represented by these notes. Second measure. The third measure is D, F sharp, B, D, F sharp, B, and if you invert D, F sharp, B, it becomes B, D, F sharp, that's a B minor chord. The fourth measure is E minor, E, G, B. So whatever the left hand plays, the right hand plays, except later on there's a couple of differences. There's two differences. Measure 5, another E minor chord. The next measure is E, G, B sharp, which is a C natural, and it looks and sounds like a C major chord. But the name of the chord is E minor plus 5. If you're playing in a fake book, a real book, a jazz book, a show book, it'll say E, M plus 5. E minor plus 5. You're raising the fifth a half a step. The next measure, same notes, but you raise the B sharp to a C sharp. That's a diminished chord, C sharp diminished chord. Measure 8 is an F sharp minor chord. Next measure is the same. Then you simply raise the top note to a D, and you get a D major chord in first inversion. Here's D major, here's first inversion. Then there's a simple G chord. Then this is the one already where the notes are different in both hands. G sharp, D, E, B, D, E. That's an E7 chord in first inversion with a G sharp on the bottom. So if you were playing out of a jazz book or a pop book, it would say E7 / G sharp. meaning the G sharp's on the bottom. And then finally, measure 13 is your cadence. A, D, F sharp, which is a D major chord in second inversion, or D over A, or D slash A major, and don't be fooled here, these notes are different. The left hand is D, F sharp, A, but the right hand's F sharp, A, D. Now, if you have a pedal on your keyboard, use the pedal so you get that beautiful sound all resonating together. Otherwise, it's gonna, if it is, it is. But get the notes. And if you're pedaling, remember to lift up on one, lift up on one. You lift when your hand comes out. When you want to change a pedal, you lift the pedal, you don't push down. Otherwise, you'll hear this. If you practice and hear this, it means you're lifting the pedal too early. So it's down, up, up, up. So here's the way the whole thing sounds. If you do this right, and starting on measure 9, it's one big crescendo to the very last measure, and there's a decrescendo. And I'm going to play it as it should be played. I'm not going to play it as fast as I would like, but I'll play it about allegretto. If I play all these measures as chords, you'll hear a melody. Next measure, next measure. I'm just playing the whole measure as a chord. Get it? So when you hear the notes, you're not really hearing the melody unless you're listening for. Okay. So that's the etude. You practice it slowly. You practice slowly. Now look at topsy-turvy, and there's a reason it's called topsy-turvy. I'm just getting a drink. I'm making all my videos today, and I need some water. Now, topsy-turvy is a very interesting piece, and it's all the same throughout the whole thing. You take the notes that are there, E, B, C, E, G, which is the C chord, and if you put all those notes together, you've got a C major 7 chord. You have C, E, G, B. And after you play the E, B, C, E, G, you cross your left hand over, it says L, H, and then you come back. Same thing over and over. E, B, C chord. Cross over to C, and back. The whole piece is that, starting on different notes. So listen. Measure 5, you simply go to F. You do the same thing. F, C, D, F, A, D. Measure 9, you start on the E again, just like the first measure. So it's the same thing. Then you move down to D. Down to C. Separate notes. D, rest, A, rest, B, rest, D and F, and the second page, same thing. On F. All staccato, by the way, all staccato. On G. of C's. C here, C here, C here, and C there. Now, I'm going to play it through. It's supposed to be vivo giocoso. Vivo means fast. Vivo, it sounds like vivace, which is lively, but really vivo, the connotation is fast. We're not going to do any of that. We're just going to play. But giocoso means jokingly, fun-like. So have fun with it. Here's the way this sounds. Don't forget to cross over. E, D, C. Same thing, I'm doing the same exact motions. D, A, B, D, F. That D, A, B, D, F is just like in the in measure 11 where it goes. It's just broken up instead of it's. And then on the next page, page 17, so it's a couple little tricks, but it's all the same. You can hear it. Don't forget to play staccato. Now there's a crescendo from here on. Louder. Louder. Loud. If you have a keyboard that's not touch sensitive or weighted keys, you can't really do that kind of staccato and some of the things that, or even a crescendo, you may not be able to do. But that's how it sounds. So once again, you have the E and the B. It's always a fifth down here, then a chord, and a cross. So the reason it's called topsy-turvy is because if you do it upside down, it's C, G, E, C. So it becomes a C chord with that B in it, which is C major 7. Okay. If you're practicing this week, you have a week and a half of this, normally you have only 1 week, you can call me, text me, you can write me, email. I'll have a lesson with you way in advance of the class without ever a problem. And that lesson can be as long as we need. I've had very long lessons last semester. So time doesn't mean anything to anybody at this point except students because you're on schedule, but most people have tons of time on their hands right now. Now, look at the Harima book if you have it. If you don't have it, order it immediately. And we're doing page 63. Page 63. Now, a canon is around, just like when you play, then the second voice comes in. Right? That's a round. Row, row, row your boat. It's a round. So it's a canon. Don't confuse it with fugue, which is a whole different thing. It's the same concept, but it has very different, much more kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Much more information in it, and it's not exactly the same notes over and over. It's very interesting. It's all different. But this is then the left hand. So this is a true round, okay? And it will get more sophisticated when you play fugues. Probably if you're not a piano major, you'll never play a fugue. But if some people become piano minors, you will play a fugue. Then the melody, when the left hand comes in, it's a fifth higher. It's in 2 different keys at the same time, and it matches up so it doesn't sound like it. It's an amazing, a very sophisticated project for fugue. But this is a canon. So you have a melody. Simple. This is piano 1. Couldn't be easier. The left hand will sound the same. But they start at different times. So it has to be ingenious that they match up and you don't hear a lot of dissonances. You will at times, not in this, but in other canons. So you put your fingers in a G position. And I'm going to play the whole thing for you so you hear it. itself because the right hand is all done. So they'll always lag, that's what the voices do. Very simple, not a hard piece, you should have no problem whatsoever. So get this book, you should have it within days if you either go to the bookstore or you go to the Amazon site. You should have it soon though. Both these books, Harima, and it says so in your, it says week by week lesson. And that's what we're looking at right now. So if you look at January 21st, we've just done the etude, we've just done topsy-turvy, we've just done page 63 in the Harima book. Now, D-flat major scale chords and arpeggios. We're going to do flat key scales or black key scales in this course. We did all the white key scales in Piano 1. If you didn't have me and you had someone else and you did not do all the white key scales, just go to the back of the progressive piano book in Harima and catch up on C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Start a scale on each one of these notes and get familiar with them. But we're going to be absolutely doing the D-flat scale. So if you look on your scale sheet, and you'll find the D-flat scale. I forgot what page it actually is, but you'll find it. See, so when you see the D-flat scale, the right hand plays. You know what? Let me see if we're doing just the major this week. D-flat scale, chords on. Yeah, just the D-flat scale, 2 octaves. So let me show you the difference between the white key scales. White key scales are mostly 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The black key scales, you're going to find are actually easier after this week and next week because they're always the same fingerings starting on different keys. It's not so with white key scales. So D-flat will have 2. By the way, these are all the flats. All those black keys are in play. And the only white notes are F and C. And by chance, the thumb goes on those notes. So it's 2, 3, thumb on F, 2, 3, 4, and this is the secret to never having a problem with a right hand flat scale. You always play B flat with 4. Always, always, always. In these flat scales. Then you cross the 1, you finish. So it's 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, cross under, 1, 2. That's the only difficult part, you have to cross under your 4. Okay? So 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Then you do the same thing for 2 octaves. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your position for the scale. Left hand, mirror image of your hands. 3, 2. But the thumb ends up on F. And instead of 2, 3, 4, it's 4, 3, 2. So it's mirror image of your right hand. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you do it again. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's all there is to it. These are easy scales, easy to play. If you want to play fast, if I see a piece in the key of D flat, I'd rather see a piece in the key of D flat than in C, because I can play faster in the key of D flat, because the black notes are the long fingers and the white notes are the short fingers, and it makes your hands go faster. You'll see that someday. Now, the arpeggio is totally different than you've ever played. When you play C, G, F, it's 1, 2, 3, 5, it's all different. 4, 1, 2, 4. 4 on D flat. Look at it, you'll see it. There's an arpeggio right on that line of D flat. 1, 2, 4. 4, 1, 2. Now make sure you don't do this. Just reach for it. Reach for it. Then you'll do 2 octaves. And always slap the keys. Make good contact, even if you don't have a weighted keyboard or a keyboard with touch sensitivity. Make sure that you're digging in and slapping the keys. Now the left hand, instead of 4, 1, 2, is 2, 1, 4. 2, 1, 4, 2. 2, 1, 4, 2. 2, 1, 4, 2. Let's see, D flat major, and that's the arpeggio. So you'll put them together. You'll notice that when 4 is playing, 2 is playing. Thumb's always on F, just like the scale. This is 2-4, that's 4-2. Really hit them. Just get the feel for that, because most of the flat key arpeggios, black key scales, are the same. So get that. The next scale will be E flat, same thing. Then you have A flat, B flat. They're all going to be similar. Now finally, the chords. D flat major, look at the chords. The chords are D flat major. Lower the third, you get D flat minor. Lower the fifth to a G, you get D flat diminished. You go back to your D flat chord. Raise the fifth.